It's time to pick a side. The border war is on the air with BG and TanMan. All right, true believers, welcome into the Border War episode 72. We're going to get into some college football here in a second, but before we do that, we want to thank you for listening. However you may be doing so, we have so many platforms now, TanMan, I can't even think to list them all. We've got Spotify, we've got Spreaker, we've got Apple Music, Apple Podcasts. TuneIn, the TuneIn radio app. If your local radio has been as bad as ours has been this week concerning college football, you are as glad to hear us as we are glad to talk to you.
Oh, my goodness.
So gracious. We are going to open it up with some college football. Next week, we'll get into the NBA. Some of you probably know we're big NBA fans. I'm not going to talk about it this week because there are no games. If you are looking for the NFL segment of our podcast, we just did that one. That would have been episode 71, I guess.
Yeah.
So that'll be available around the same time as this one.
If you want to hear some NBA talk from BG and I, just go back and find the NBA preview.
Yeah, we've got the NBA preview show a couple of weeks ago.
We've got you all covered.
If you live in the upstate of South Carolina and you want to hear NBA talk, we're the only people you can listen to because no one else will talk basketball. Heck, man, they really don't even talk NFL. Yeah, they really don't.
No, yesterday was, like I said, it may be as bad as I've ever seen it. So we're going to try to do a little bit better job.
We're going for a D+ today.
Right, well, as I say,
which would be better.
A D+ would be a massive upgrade from what I heard yesterday. I felt like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, just over and over. The same.
He really does repeat himself just ad nauseum.
Same conversation. Yeah. Anyway,
where are we starting?
You want to start with the Tar Heels or you want to start with you guys?
Let's start with the Tar Heels, man.
All right, we'll start with the Tar Heels.
Are you in a good mood about this, or do you feel like this was a missed opportunity? I mean, you already think Fedora's gone, right? I mean, this wasn't a thing.
I think it's, honestly, I think it's 60-40. Because like I said, the money's big. That may
again,
keep you
let's throw this out there. We continue to have absolutely no idea what's going on in Blacksburg, Virginia. There are at least 2 teams up there, maybe 3. I don't know who shows up. And, I mean, maybe you guys have a little bit of that, too.
Well, look, I think this was partly we got 16 days off.
Sure.
You know, we were able to prepare for 16 days on this one. We took a lot of hits, man. A lot of negativity surrounding the program right now.
Oh, absolutely. It's ugly.
I thought it was really interesting. This week it comes out that Chaz Surratt is out for the season,
right, with
a broken wrist, and Fedora says his comment.
He didn't have much to say at all.
Usually he'll comment on injuries if they're season-ending injuries. So when they asked him about it the other day at practice, his response was something to the effect of, quote, "I don't have anything to say about that,"
which is really strange.
So I don't know if
this was a football injury, right?
Yeah, no, he heard it against
there's
Miami.
Nothing shady going on here.
Nothing shady. So it kind of leads me to believe that maybe Surratt is not going to be back next year. They had a name up around campus that you might recognize taking a visit up there this weekend. Kelly Bryant was in Chapel Hill.
Oh.
So obviously maybe Bryant is one of the...
I thought he was coaching at Clemson now.
No. Chalk that up to a list of things we were way wrong
about. Oh, we were wrong about that too.
Okay. So Kelly Bryant's up there visiting. But Cade Fortin, the true freshman, got to start Saturday. He did a lot of good things, man. To be a true freshman, he certainly wasn't a downgrade from anything that they've seen.
Right.
Seen so far at that spot, and basically just like clockwork, he goes out with what they're calling is probably a torn ACL. So now he's done. So now they are going to have to go back to Nathan Elliott for a third time, But the star of the show was Michael Carter. He had a huge night on one hand, and on the other hand, he's the guy going into the end zone with a chance to end the ball game with 6.5 minutes to go and fumbles, only to have Virginia Tech use up 6 of that 6.5 minutes on a 98-yard touchdown drive.
I feel your pain there. I had the same thing happen to us.
Honestly, they get down to the red zone 7 times. They missed 2 field goals. You get in the red zone 7 times, you should come away with more than 19 points.
Sure.
So, to answer your question, yes, I feel good. I am encouraged a little bit by their performance because, look, it would have been really easy to cash your chips in on the year and roll over.
Well, that's what we gave them credit for all last year.
They did.
They kept fighting. But earlier this year,
but at some point you have to beat somebody.
Yes, you're right.
At some point you have to beat somebody. So like I said, they had 16 days between the Miami game, which they were terrible, and this one. They heard everything from everybody. They came out and at least showed some heart. So now I'm interested to see. They've got a difficult road trip this weekend. They're going up to Syracuse. The Orange, since they blew the Clemson game, they have not looked nearly as good as they looked in the first half of that.
Right.
So we'll see. Like I said, it's a tough trip.
I don't think it's an unwinnable game.
It's not an unwinnable game. It's a tough trip. It's like a 12:30 kickoff.
In front of 30,000 people.
Say, in front of a smaller crowd than what that dome will probably hold. So we'll see. Like I said, I hope it doesn't beat them twice. Which happens a lot in these situations when you lose games, when you lose winnable games. But hopefully it doesn't beat them twice, and hopefully each week they are taking a little bit and applying it and learning from some of the mistakes they made. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I mean,
to be better this week than you were the week before, and
I think the thing
they certainly were Saturday.
The one thing I still love about college football because of the recruiting is that every game feels like an opportunity to build on something, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's just impressing a recruit, or even sometimes, man, you find out that a gaping need on your team being demonstrated on national television is actually a recruiting tool, right? A guy says, "Oh, I can go there and play right now." So
last year they lost to Virginia Tech by 52. This year, for all intent and purposes, you should have won the game.
The thing about college football and college sports in general is the whole world recreates itself every 2.5 to 3 seasons. So.
What do you think about the possibility of Kelly Bryant going up there? I'm still not sold on it. I still, I guess, would lean Arkansas, but that do anything for you? Because listen, Kelly Bryant would be. We saw what amounts to a half of football from Cade Fortin. Larry Fedora said this is really the first time that they felt comfortable giving him a big chunk of the offense to be able to put him in and run things in a ball game. But I just can't help but think that Kelly Bryant would be 10 times better than whatever we have. For all of Kelly Bryant's faults and all the things that we've said he can't do or is not great at since we started doing this podcast, I just can't help but feeling Kelly Bryant would be such a massive upgrade over what we have.
The one thing we've never questioned about Kelly Bryant is his ability to run the football. To the exclusion of other running backs at Clemson having the opportunity to run the football, really. It depends on, to me, what Kelly Bryant thinks he wants out of this whole thing. If he wants to play in the NFL, he probably needs to go to Arkansas to go up against the kind of talent he's going to see in the SEC West. But he's going to have the crap knocked out of him at Arkansas.
Arkansas might be.
They're a bad football team.
They might be in worse shape than we are.
Yeah, they are, and there's no question.
There's not many, but
I mean, even if they're good, they don't have great seasons. Arkansas, to me, is very comparable to South Carolina in a lot of ways. I mean, they're in a similar state. They're in a similar situation. The only difference is they don't have a monster 90 miles away recruiting against them inside the state. But on the other hand, if Kelly Bryant wants to just play some football, have a chance to win some games, and really help out a football team, North Carolina, to me, is a pretty good choice.
Look, you can go.
I definitely think he would look better in that uniform. I don't know if that's the thing he cares about, but I would.
He can go to to me. He can go to Arkansas, and they can win 3 ball games because they're at right off jumps. They're not going to be better than more than maybe one team in that in the SEC West.
It's a murderer's row out there, man. It's ugly.
He could come to the ACC. Come over and he could play Duke and Virginia and pad some stats and maybe get a look at one of those spring football leagues kicking up next year.
Because let's be honest,
he's not an NFL quarterback.
It may all come. Well, even if he is an NFL player, it's all going to come down to his stats at the combine anyway. The ACC's not in such bad shape; they're not still sending guys to the league. He needs to resign himself to the fact that he's going to be a wide receiver or a safety. I mean, that just is right. I mean,
he's not going to play He's not going to play quarterback in the NFL.
No.
I mean, there's no way.
Not at all.
I think him coming to North Carolina would be huge. I think, really, at our core, we're a running football team.
Oh, sure.
We're a running football team. Ever since Larry Fedora has been there, we've had good running. We've had multiple good running backs, whether it was T.J. Logan or now we've got Michael Carter. We've had a stable of running backs. So no, I think this would be an excellent place for Kelly Bryant to land. He could come and next year, I think North Carolina, with a lot of the young guys who are playing now, getting that experience, I think North Carolina, could certainly get themselves back to that 7-win 8 season.
They could have an 8-win season and not even be that much better because that side of the conference is just so weak. I mean, it's like what I told you a couple of weeks ago. That's what's so frustrating about North Carolina's football season right now is that conference is just there to be picked off a tree like an apple, man. Not the conference, but the division.
Yeah.
The conference is quite a bit higher than that. But it's only been 3 seasons since you played Clemson and Charlotte. You're not that far off of it. It's not a pipe dream in Chapel Hill to win the Coastal. It's not.
Hey, look, you want to – if Kelly Bryant wants to take a shot at Clemson – Arkansas is not going to play them.
No.
North Carolina is.
Yes.
So, come on, Kelly.
That alone might be enough.
Come on, Kelly. Speaking of quarterbacks, much maligned quarterbacks, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
We're just going to call this the Jake Bentley segment.
Well, I mean, I've got some other things
Jake
to
Bentley,
add.
Jake Bentley.
In case you're wondering, TanMan's making fun of someone else, not us. No, I don't. Here's the thing. I don't really think this is about Jake Bentley. Give me your take, and then I've got a possibly controversial statement that I haven't seen anybody else make yet. But I think I know what's going on. But go ahead.
My take on what?
Yeah, what did you think? I mean, Bentley, look, my quick take is he had a bad first half. He had a great second half. People dropped the football. They dropped the football on passes that a couple of them probably would have gone for touchdowns. If you go back to the previous game that he looked really bad, in the Kentucky game, there were some drop passes. If you go back to the Georgia game, we got blown out, but the first pick six that obviously gets statted to him was a dropped pass.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the greatest quarterback that's ever played at South Carolina. He might not even be in the top 5, but he's better than his stats look. And I think he's a pretty tough kid. Look, this game was winnable. If we win this game, right? Ifs and buts, candy nuts, I get all that, but we're going into a bye week at 4-2. As it is, we're going into a bye week at 3-3.
And for the record, I think it's getting late early down in Columbia.
No, I agree with you.
I mean,
look, this isn't going to be a good football season. That's over. That's over with. The schedule's harder the second half. I mean, it is. And so,
look, Jake Bentley.
But people act like. Let me just say this: people act like you got too many Gamecock fans that jumped on this train during the Connor Shaw era, and they think that was Gamecock football. Man, I've been through this before. This is not the end of the world. If you finish at 5 wins this season, then you come back next year. You do what you can do. But Will Muschamp is not going to lose his job over this.
Well, I talked about that last week. He's not going to lose his job this year.
Yeah, but what he does next year has nothing to do with this year either way. If he comes back and wins 8 games next year, then he's good again. If he doesn't, then it's next year that got him fired, not this year.
Look, we talked about that last time. I'm going back into that again. Look, I think Jake Bentley is taking more heat than maybe he deserves. The idea that Michael Scarnecchia is
well, their stats were virtually identical.
They are. Well, the idea that Scarnecchia is better than him, I don't know that I buy, because Scarnecchia's been there for 25 years.
Maybe the stupidest thing I heard is that Carolina receivers are dropping balls on purpose because they don't like Jake Bentley. I mean, can we stop with that? Please.
Look, I think it was just really it's more of the expectations were too high from the very beginning.
Yeah. Everybody's pushing too hard.
Everybody's pushing too hard.
And here's the other thing. Unlike most head coaches, Will Muschamp does not require his student athletes to be off of social media. Those guys are full aware of what this vocal minority of Carolina fan base is saying about Bentley and about them on social media. And I think it is starting to get to them a bit. I think they're trying too hard in front of the home crowd. I mean,
look, some of this is, to me, some of this is on Muschamp and
Sure.
the coaching staff. Because look, this is not a one-off. I mean, the first half and the second half of this game Saturday,
they never looked ready in the first half.
Completely day and night. This is like the third or fourth time already this year that
They
the first
come
half of
out
the ball game that they
terrible.
are terrible.
Yes.
To me, Texas A&M beat you in time of possession by
A
25
bunch.
minutes,
A
40 something
bunch.
to 18 or whatever.
And that's the point I'm going to make here in a
Your
second.
offense, South Carolina's offense, has got to slow down. They have got to slow way
Do
down.
you remember me telling you, I know this is asking a lot, because there are chances that you were actually listening to me and that you remember what I said,
which
pretty
are
slim.
very low.
But before the season started, I told you that the most important player on the South Carolina football team was who? Can you remember who I said?
No clue.
Rico Dowdle.
Okay.
He has been terrible. The inability, this is my statement, and this is, I would love for somebody to get on Twitter and tell me I'm wrong about this. South Carolina's only actual problem on offense is that they can't run the football. Period.
I don't think
Period.
I think it's a can. I
But
think
but
it's a one. Listen, the first half, you know how many times they ran the ball in the first half?
how many times did they run the
8
ball?
times. Jake Bentley threw 8. So before.
So what's creating that?
I think it's play.
McClendon just having
I think it's play calling. I think it's
But some of it is that we run it on first down,
Listen,
and then it's 2nd and 9.
Part of this everything has to go super fast. We got to go. That lends itself to throwing passes here all over the place. I don't think that's what I said. You've got to slow down. You've got to make an effort to make sure that you run the football and that you get Rico Dowdle involved.
But again,
because that's part of why you're finding yourself down in these holes in the first half every week.
But again, this game, if 2 passes had been caught that would have gone for touchdowns, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Okay, well,
I mean, but I'm right.
Well, okay, if Michael Carter doesn't fumble the ball going into the end zone Saturday night, North Carolina beats Virginia Tech too. I mean,
That's right, but those are plays that matter, though. You can't put all of that on anybody. Like, those are passes that are almost always caught. I just think there's something else, and I'm with you on the coaching staff. I think this is Will Muschamp's fault, and I don't know what it is that's his fault, but he is not. This team's not ready to play every Saturday. They're just not.
And if they're not,
and I'm tired of that. I mean, like they come out.
If they're not ready to play every Saturday, to me, you have taken up for Will Muschamp. You have been the Muschamp supporter on high. I mean, but if they're not ready to play, that's on him, man.
Crazy thing about
that's
it,
on him.
This is not some weird narrative. Everybody keeps saying, "Well, why would you expect this team to have discipline? Have you seen their head?" Okay, fine. They were the least penalized team in the SEC last year. They had the least turnovers in the SEC last year. All of that is flipped around. This is not. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That was a Will Muschamp coach team too, and the players were the same. Something changed, and I think you're exactly right. I think they all thought this was going to be a better season than it's been, that it would be easier than it's been, that we had a junior quarterback coming back, and that he would just go out there and throw for 280 yards a game, because that's what junior quarterbacks do.
Jake Bentley came in as this 5-star kid. A lot of people thought you might have hired his daddy just to get him.
Just to get him, right? But that's what people said about Auburn when they hired him, when they hired Bobby back then.
Yeah, and
Jake was just a freshman or a sophomore in high school when that happened, and they were saying that.
Yeah. You've heard me talk all the time about these recruiting rankings and these stars and how I think some of it is absurd. And I know you brought up the stats about the recruiting
case
classes.
by case, it's absurd. Yeah.
I get it. But to me, look, maybe Jake Bentley was always, and it appears like that's the case, that he was always just going to be a pretty good college quarterback.
I think you're onto something.
And at some point, that has to be okay. And at some point, you have to go, okay, he might not be what we thought he was going to be when we brought him here, but this is who he is now. So we have to figure out a way to make this work.
Well,
and
it would help if people caught the football, because he had 7 dropped passes in the second half.
I'm with you, and I think that's another part of it. Why are these guys? These are pretty good. These are pretty highly ranked. Deebo Samuel from right here where we are.
Let's go ahead and say
he's a highly ranked
Deebo's
kid.
had a rough season so far.
He's a highly ranked kid. Shi Smith,
who hadn't dropped a pass yet.
He's a highly ranked kid. These are kids that you're not expecting to be dropping passes. So what's happening down there?
That's really the question, because it's something other than football. Can we agree on that? I mean, it's related to football, and I'm not trying to say there's anything nefarious going on. I don't know, but I don't know. And then just some strange things like, why can't Tyson Williams get some carries, man? He breaks off a 34-yarder and heads to the bench. And
because they don't want to run the football, man. I don't know any other way to say it other than they don't want to run the football.
And that's completely not what Will Muschamp's been about his whole career.
They want to go as fast as they possibly can. When you've got a defense where the narrative on it has always been the depth. We don't have the depth that Georgia has. We don't have the depth that Clemson has. Why don't you try helping them out a little bit?
No kidding.
Why don't you try giving them a break?
Let's just say this. The defense played absurd. They played a heck of a game Saturday.
Oh, they could not have played better. Played better.
The number of snaps and time they were on that field, it's a disservice.
No, you want to talk about the weaknesses that they have. All right, well, why don't you, like I said, why don't you try and help them a little bit? And to me, that's all Muschamp. To me, really,
he's the guy that has to go to your coordinator and say, "Look,
he's the guy.
Slow it down."
He's the boss man. If your offense is going too fast, your defense is not getting a break. If you're not running the football enough, I mean, that's all on Muschamp.
Well, this is going to go
down. He's the popular whipping boy right now, but I think that's all misplaced. I think it lands squarely at the feet of Will Muschamp.
You're actually right, and because. I don't know, but even when they do run the ball, they don't have success, and you put Jake in these 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 situations, because I've noticed, I don't know what it is, but he almost never completes a pass on second down. I mean, the standard 3 possession for us is run the ball on 1st and 10, then it's 2nd and 9. Yeah. Incomplete pass on second down, it's 3rd and 9. And complete a short pass short of the sticks, it's 4th and 2. Let's punt. That is a South Carolina possession right now.
Listen, I think it's this is just my opinion.
Well, this is the right place for it because it is our show.
I think the next 3 weeks, when you got the bye week this week, and then you've got Tennessee
at
home, and then you go to Ole Miss. I think the next 3 weeks, what they do on the practice fields in these ball games that are coming up. These could be the 3 most important weeks for South Carolina's football program. That
in 3 seasons.
Well, probably longer than that, because I'm telling you, you talked about it over and over. Georgia's killing you right now.
Yeah.
In recruit, they killed you on the field this year at home in a game that everybody thought you would win. Clemson, we're not even going to get into that. We know what's going on with that. And next year you're going to have a senior quarterback. And if you stumble you let one of these games slip away, again, unless you're going to make up a game on that back end, you're going to be 5-6. You're probably going to be 5-6. You're not going into a bowl game.
Yeah,
I mean and to me, when you're looking at Clemson, probably going back to the playoff again. Georgia
absolutely
may go back. They've said their playoff hopes are still alive.
Georgia's going to play in a Cotton Bowl at the worst. I mean,
these 2 teams that are basically flanking you right now, they're running circles around you. And if you got if South Carolina has any idea that they want to get back into the mix to at least compete for an SEC East title,
right? Because
Florida is coming on, they're kind of hitting the stride a little bit right now too. And Dan Mullen's he's not going to fall on his face down there. They're going to be back. If you want to get back into that discussion,
unless he gets killed at the 50-yard line by a man he can't take. He better be glad that referee grabbed him.
Well, if you want to get back into that SEC, at least the SEC East talk,
you're right.
You cannot be 5-6, man. You cannot be 5-6.
And this game was frustrating for that because it was right there.
It was there.
It was right there. And A&M, not a good football team. I don't care how close they came to beating Clemson. It's not a good football team. You had a freshman quarterback on the road, and he looked just like a freshman quarterback. You could have won this game. You didn't. And there it is.
I think A&M is going to be a monster in a couple of years.
No, there's no question. But you had them right here.
You had them here, and you let one slip away. Speaking of slipping away, our picks list. I had a big lead.
It is now a small lead.
It slipped away. It's a small lead. BG picks up 4 games on the TanMan last week. I think I'm still up by a few, so let's get into it. Number 6, Michigan at Michigan State. The Spartans come in ranked 24th in the country, and they're getting 7.5 points. That's a big number for a home team in a rivalry game.
Yeah. And historically, I mean, Michigan struggled in this rivalry lately.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take the Spartans in the points on this one. That's too big of a spread at home.
Did Michigan State just beat Penn State?
They did.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Give me Michigan.
Okay.
Give me Michigan. I think Michigan State has a little bit of a hangover, and Michigan's starting to come around. They got Shea Patterson back there at quarterback.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. They are starting to.
They're one of those teams that frustrates me to watch because I love how they use him.
Yeah.
They do what he can do.
Next up on the list, Oklahoma, the 9th-ranked Sooners. They're going to TCU. The Horned Frogs getting 8 points. Ever since Ohio State took their soul late in the third quarter, the Horned Frogs have not been themselves. I think Oklahoma is back to being, if they weren't already, the favorite to win the Big 12 after West Virginia got shellacked last weekend up in Ames, Iowa. Give me Oklahoma to cover the 8 points.
That's a big spread. I'm going to go with the Horned Frogs on this one. That's too big of a spread for me.
Oklahoma will hang 60 on them.
Okay.
They'll hang 60. North Carolina at Syracuse. We talked about this one a little bit earlier. The Tar Heels are getting 10 points going up to the Dome for that noon kickoff. I want to take the Tar Heels. But, well, like I said, we're going back to Nathan Elliott for the 83rd time. I'm going to take Syracuse.
It's a recipe
and get the
for
points.
disaster.
Yep.
Noon kick up and that. Yeah, give me the orange.
Let's see. NC State. Here's a big one. NC State, the 16th ranked Wolfpack, going down to Death Valley. The Tigers, they hung a big number on Wake Forest their last time out. They got the benefit of the bye week this past weekend, so they didn't get knocked like Ohio State did a little. The Tigers get 17.5. 17, and this game has been. It's been, look, the last 2 years, this game has been there for the taking for NC State, and both times they could not close the deal.
I think Clemson wins it by a couple touchdowns, but I'll go with the Wolfpack on that spread.
I talked you into that one, huh?
Yeah, I think you played me a little bit there.
Look, I agree with you. I think it's going to be close. I think 17.5 is big. I agree with you. I think somewhere around 14 or 17.
The only thing that gives me pause about that is how they came out against Wake Forest. They know this is their only ranked opponent this year. No one else is going to be ranked. South Carolina has blown that opportunity. There was a chance that South Carolina could have been in the top 25. That's not going to happen now. Shut up. I think North Carolina State's just too good to get beat that badly.
And finally, Oregon.
And it's a noon kick.
Is it a noon kick?
It's a noon kick.
And finally, Oregon going to Washington State. Oregon might be the best team that nobody's talking about. If it weren't for that one giveaway loss to Stanford, the Ducks will be sitting undefeated and possibly in that playoff hunt. Washington State is giving up 1.5, so the Ducks getting the 1.5. I'm going to take Washington State in this one. They're at home. That's a tough place to play. Oregon's had several big wins already. They're due to drop one.
I agree with you on that.
Give me the fighting Mike Leaches.
Arrgh.
Hey, that's a fun. Wasn't he like in the mix to come down to South Carolina at one point?
Who hasn't been, man?
No, I mean, like, wasn't he like a serious contender?
No, I don't think so. Unless you're going back a ways. I'm wrong. That's a 3:30 kick at Clemson. I knew it wasn't a nighttime game, though, because they were.
No, they're whining about night games or something down there.
Yeah, South Carolina gets its first night game of the year against Tennessee after this week.
Yeah, and night games under Will Muschamp have not been great.
Well, Tennessee's not ranked, so that's a good thing. Because that's what really hasn't been great. Maybe we'll wear all black and the fire won't work.
Oh, well, yeah. That is it for episode 72. Again, we want to thank you for tuning in. Make sure you check out our Facebook page, like and share our page for us. Tell us how awesome we are and how great of a job we do, because trust me, we are much, much better than the alternative.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Jake Bentley.
Where can we? What's a good meet and 3 on the I-26 corridor?
I don't know. Let's ask Jake Bentley.
Pizza Perfect.